The cold wind howled across the battlefield. Broken metal, burning wreckage, and bodies of both humans and aliens covered the ground. The war had been long, bloody, and now it looked like it was finally over, for one man at least. Captain. Raynor knelt on one knee, his arm bleeding, his face bruised. His weapon was gone, and 3 alien soldiers stood around him with plasma rifles aimed at his head. Standing in front of him was Commander Jari of the Valkyrie Empire. Tall, armored, and calm. She had never lost a battle. Her violet eyes stared down at him with something between curiosity and disappointment. "You fought well, human," she said, her voice smooth and cold. "But it ends here." Raynor didn't reply. He only looked up at her with quiet eyes. Tired eyes. Or maybe not tired. Maybe just patient. She tilted her head. "Do you understand? You are surrounded. You are wounded. Your people have fallen. This is not a story, human. This is reality. And in reality, you lose." One of the guards nudged Raynor with his boot. "Should we take him in or finish him here?" Commander Jari raised a hand. "Wait. I want to hear what he has to say." Raynor slowly stood up. Not fast, not threatening, just steady. Surprising for a man with blood running down his side. He looked her straight in the eye. "You think you've won?" A pause. The alien soldiers exchanged confused looks. Jari narrowed her eyes. "What did you say?" she asked. "You think you've won?" he repeated. "But this isn't the end." Jari stepped closer, her hand resting on the hilt of her blade. "Then what is it, Captain?" He smiled. Not wide, just enough to make her uncomfortable. "This is the beginning," he said. A deep, strange silence followed. The wind slowed. Even the distant fires seemed to quiet for a moment. Commander Jari didn't like the feeling crawling up her spine. Something was off. This human wasn't panicking, he wasn't begging, he wasn't afraid. "Do you think your words will change your fate?" she asked. Raynor looked past her, toward the sky. "No," he said. "But my actions will." She turned to look behind her, but there was nothing. Just smoke and sky. She turned back to him. "There's nothing coming for you," she said. He nodded. "You're right. No one is coming. For me." His hand twitched slightly. Jari's eyes caught the motion. Before she could react, Raynor lunged. He wasn't fast. He was too fast. Not for a wounded man. Not for anyone. In one motion, he twisted to the left, grabbed the wrist of the closest alien guard, and flipped him over his shoulder. The alien's weapon flew from his hands. The second guard shouted and fired. But Raynor ducked, rolled forward, and grabbed the weapon mid-air. He shot once. The second guard went down. The third raised his rifle, but Raynor was already on him, using the body of the first alien as a shield. A blast hit the armor. Raynor didn't stop. He slammed the butt of the plasma rifle into the last guard's helmet. Silence followed. 3 elite alien soldiers down in less than 10 seconds. Jari took a step back, drawing her blade. "How?" Raynor stood tall now, blood still dripping, but his body straight. His grip on the weapon was firm. "You didn't trap me," he said. Her blade trembled slightly in her hand. "You thought you cornered me," he continued, walking slowly toward her. "You thought I was broken, weak, finished." Jari held her ground, but her mind raced. This wasn't just any soldier. This man had training beyond what they expected, something they hadn't seen before. "This was your mistake," he said. "You brought me into your base, your land, your systems." He stopped walking. "But you didn't ask yourself the most important question." She didn't speak. Couldn't. Why would a human let himself be captured? The words hit her like a thunderclap. Her eyes widened. "You—" He tapped the side of his wrist. A small blue light blinked. Something activated. In the distance, alarms began to wail. "You walked into my cage," Raynor said. "And now, you're locked inside." She stepped back. The ground beneath them shook. Explosions echoed in the far sections of the base. He turned away from her, walking into the smoke. "You think you've won?" his voice echoed. "But this is where it begins." The first counter-commander, Jari, stood in the middle of the chaos. Fire, alarms, smoke. All around her, her soldiers scrambled in confusion. Doors sealed themselves. Power flickered. Emergency lights turned everything blood red. This was not supposed to happen. She turned toward the spot where the human, Captain Rayner, had stood only seconds ago. He was gone. 3 of her finest guards lay unconscious on the floor. One of them groaned, trying to move. The others didn't. "Lock down the sector," she shouted. "Find him." Her voice echoed through the command channel, but no one answered. She frowned. "Control, respond." Silence. A low rumble followed. Then a system message. "Main network access. Compromised." How? She activated her internal visor system. Her screen flashed with symbols she didn't recognize. Human code. Human encryption. Inside their network. "Impossible," she whispered. 2 levels below, Captain Rayner moved like a shadow through the corridors. The plasma rifle in his hand was almost empty, but it didn't matter. He didn't come here to fight with weapons. He came here to finish what they started. He reached a security panel and placed his palm on a hidden scanner. Not alien tech. Human tech secretly installed months ago. A soft beep. The panel opened, revealing a small box inside the wall. He pulled out a tablet. Standard human military issue. He typed something fast. Somewhere deep in the base, a dormant AI woke up. Codename: Ghost Protocol. Mission: disrupt, distract, destroy. In the command room, Jari stared at the holographic map. Red lights blinked across every section. Containment cells were opening. Power cores were overloading. Weapon systems were offline. This wasn't random. This was coordinated. One of her aides ran in. "Commander, we're under internal attack. Prisoner cells are—" "I know," she said sharply. "Track him. Now." "That's the problem," the aide said, trembling. "He's not on any sensor." She narrowed her eyes. "How?" "He's ghosted." A silence fell over the room. Only high-level Valkyrie agents could ghost, erase their heat, sound, and motion signatures. Humans weren't supposed to have that technology. She felt something new rise inside her. Not anger. Not hatred. Fear. Captain Rayner crouched beside a large control station. He placed a small device beneath it and activated the timer. 3 minutes. He moved on. As he ran through the corridors, he passed open cells. Human prisoners looked up at him. Tired. Wounded. Defeated. "Time to get up," he told them. "We're leaving." They didn't ask questions. They followed. In another hallway, he met 2 more resistance fighters, hidden agents who had been inside the base for weeks, gathering intel. Their eyes lit up when they saw him. "You made it," one of them said. Rayner nodded. "And we're not leaving empty-handed." They moved quickly, each heading toward their assigned targets. Communication towers, data vaults, power grids. This wasn't just a prison break. This was a full-scale internal strike. Commander Jari finally reached the central command vault. Only she could unlock it, the last safe place in the base. She stepped inside and locked the doors. A massive screen lit up. On it, to her horror, was him, Captain Rayner. Not in person. Just his face. Calm. Controlled. "Hello again," he said. "How did you do this?" She demanded. "You never asked the right question," he replied. "What question? Who captured who?" Jari's mind raced. It had all started months ago, a battle, a captured human squad. Rayner was among them. They had interrogated him, broken him. Or so they thought. But now she realized something chilling. He let them. "You were the mission," Rayner said. "This base, this data, this location. We need it inside. You gave us that." "You used us," she said quietly. "You underestimated us," he answered. On the screen behind him, countdowns began. Explosives, fires, hacks, uprisings, everything was timed, planned, perfect. "You won't get off this planet," she said. He gave a cold smile. "We don't need to. We only needed the truth." The screen flickered and changed. It now showed alien war records, experiments, crimes hidden from the galaxy, all stolen from her own servers. And now, broadcasting. "No," Jari whispered. He stared at her. "Your empire said humans were primitive, emotional, weak." His voice grew colder. "You should have paid attention to our history." He leaned forward. "Because humans don't just fight to win. We fight when there's nothing left, and that's when we're most dangerous." Explosions echoed across the complex. In orbit, human ships appeared from behind the moon, cloaked until now. They didn't fire. They didn't need to. Inside the base, the real war had already begun. Jari collapsed into her chair, watching her. Empire's secrets burn across every galactic channel. Her hand trembled. He had been captured, he had been cornered, he had been finished. And yet, he was the one walking away, her last thought before everything went dark. "We didn't corner a man, we cornered a monster we made ourselves." The fire within the sky above the planet turned red. Commander Jari stood behind the shattered glass of her command tower, watching helplessly as the human ships blocked the sun. They weren't attacking. They were just there, watching, daring her to act. Behind her, the base burned. Captain Raynor moved through the shadows, leaving behind explosions, broken chains, and wide-open doors. The prison was falling apart. Not from outside forces, but from the inside out. This wasn't just war. This was infection. The human fire was spreading. He passed a room where 3 Valkyrie soldiers were guarding a group of prisoners. They were confused, unsure whether to kill the humans or follow new orders because command was silent. "Offline, cut off." Raynor didn't waste time. "Stand down," he said. "You don't want this fight." They hesitated. For the first time, doubt entered their eyes. One of them lowered his weapon. Just a little. That was enough. 2 human rebels dropped from the ceiling vents and took the guards down in seconds. No killing. Just enough to neutralize. "We're not here to destroy everything," Raynor said to the prisoners. "We're here to take back what's ours." The prisoners followed. In the lower decks, systems engineer Kai, one of Raynor's hidden agents, planted the last data worm into the alien AI core. The screen flashed. Command protocol erased. Loyalty locks disabled. For the first time in Valkyrie history, the lower caste workers in the base could think for themselves. And they did. Some refused to follow orders. Others picked up weapons. Some even asked the humans where to go. Jari watched all of this unfold on her failing monitors. A human, just one, had done all of this. No, not just a human. A symbol. He was not fighting with weapons. He was fighting with belief. Belief that humans don't stay broken. And now, even some of her own were starting to believe it. Raynor reached the central power nexus, a massive core, glowing with unstable energy. Sparks shot out. Alarms blared. The whole system was overheating. He placed a small black cube into a port. "Time to light the fire," he whispered. The cube activated. Ghost fire. Self-learning virus. It wouldn't just destroy the base, it would replicate in other systems, waking up buried truths in alien networks across the Empire. Not just a win. A message. Squad leader Nira, one of Jari's most loyal officers, stood at a sealed door with 24 troops. "He's inside," she said. They prepared for assault. But then something strange happened. Half the troops stepped back. "What are you doing?" she shouted. One of them, younger, barely more than a cadet, spoke quietly. "He spared our people. He gave prisoners a chance to run. He isn't the monster they told us about." "Traitor," Nira growled. The young soldier didn't move. "Maybe," he said. "But I've seen what monsters look like, and they wear our armor." A shot rang out, but it wasn't fired by a human. Infighting had begun. Inside the core chamber, Raynor stood tall as the power surged behind him. Dozens of humans now stood with him. Prisoners, spies, rebels, even a few former alien workers. "This isn't the end of the fight," he told them. "This is the beginning of the war they tried to hide from the galaxy." Someone asked, "What if they come back stronger?" He looked at them, eyes burning. "Then we hit harder. And we show them what humans really are." A whisper spread through the group. "We are the fire." Commander Jari finally stepped onto the broken balcony of her command post. She looked out over her base, now almost unrecognizable. Her flag burned. Her voice no longer mattered. And there, standing below, in the open courtyard, surrounded by people who should have been slaves but now looked like soldiers, was Captain Raynor. He looked up at her, not with hate, not even anger, just truth, and that made her feel something she hadn't felt since her first battle. Shame. He raised one fist into the air. Every human followed, even a few aliens. And the fire spread, not just in steel and systems, but in hearts. Across the galaxy, thousands of hidden signals activated. Secret recordings of experiments, torture, lies. The Empire's crimes against humanity began leaking to news hubs, pirate broadcasts, and even alien homeworlds. Civilized species who once stood by the Valkyrie in silence now looked at them with disgust. They had brought humans to their knees. And in doing so, they'd taught them how to rise higher than ever before. In a quiet voice, Jari whispered to herself, "We thought they were weak." She looked again at the human below, but they were fire, and we poured oil. Mind games, the battlefield had fallen quiet. No more alarms, no more gunfire. Just a low hum from the power core and the distant crackling of flame. In the center courtyard, surrounded by the wreckage of a once proud alien empire, stood two people. Captain Raynor, wounded but undefeated. Commander Jari, armored but exposed. She had come down to meet him, not with an army, but alone. Her soldiers had either fled, surrendered, or turned. Even now, she wore her commander's crest. But for the first time, she wasn't sure what it meant anymore. They stood just 10 meters apart. Neither moved. Neither blinked. This wasn't a battle of weapons now. This was a battle of minds. "You're not here to kill me," Raynor said. Jari didn't answer. She just stared. "If you were," he added, "you would have brought your blade." She touched the hilt at her side. "Perhaps I don't need it." "Then draw it," he challenged. She didn't. Instead, she stepped closer. "Why didn't you destroy this base?" "We did," Raynor replied calmly. "Not with bombs, with truth." She narrowed her eyes. "Truth doesn't win wars." "No," he agreed. "But lies lose them." She looked around. The burning towers, the freed prisoners, the alien soldiers who now stood among human fighters without fear. "How?" she asked. "You trained us to be warriors," he said. "But we trained each other to be survivors." She frowned. "You weren't trained by us. You were broken by us." "No," he said. "You tried to break us. And in doing so, we saw your cracks too." She stayed quiet. Then she said something surprising. "I saw the recordings." Raynor raised an eyebrow. "What recordings?" "Your early resistance," she said. "On Mars, Europa, Saturn's moons. I saw what you people did, what you suffered." A pause. "You should have surrendered," she added. "It would have been easier." "For us?" he asked. "For everyone." Raynor looked at her and something shifted in his expression. Not anger, not hatred. Pity. "That's the difference between us," he said. "You think pain is something to avoid. We think it's something to overcome." Jari stepped closer again. "Only 5 meters now. I was told you were emotional. Primitive, irrational." He smiled slightly. "They said the same about your species once, didn't they? Back when the elders ruled you." Her eyes twitched. "How do you know that?" she demanded. "We've been listening," he said. "Longer than you think." Jari took a breath. "You've won this place, but the Empire is vast. You won't survive the next wave." We're not trying to survive, he said. Then what are you doing? He stepped closer too, closing the distance. We're infecting your belief system. Jari flinched. Every lie you told your people about us, Raynor said, is now exposed. Every secret, every cruelty. Your soldiers are questioning orders. Your allies are pulling away. He walked in a slow circle around her. You told the galaxy humans were beasts. He stopped behind her. But now they've seen the beast as the one who chained us. Jari didn't move, but her voice came low and sharp. And if I kill, you hear? Then I become a martyr, he said. And if I let you go, then I become a myth. Jari turned to face him. You're dangerous, she said. So are lies, he replied. And yours are dying fast. Suddenly, her wrist console beeped. A message from High Command. But it wasn't a command. It was a warning. Human broadcast. Spreading. Military morale collapsing in 11 sectors. Revolt detected in 2 colonies. Her hands shook slightly. You did all this with one strike? Raynor shook his head. No. You did. We just lit the match. You gave us the fuel. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Jari asked quietly, What do you want? Raynor answered without hesitation. Truth, freedom, justice. That's not how the galaxy works. Then we'll rewrite the galaxy. She looked at him, tired, worn, but not broken. And if we stop you? He stepped close, face to face now. You won't. Above them, the human fleet moved slowly, peacefully. No lasers, no demands, just presence. A symbol. On the ground, humans helped injured aliens walk. Rebel guards gave water to their former prisoners. The war had changed shape. It wasn't just guns anymore, it was an idea. And the most dangerous thing about an idea is that once it's out there, you can't kill it. The uprising, the empire, was bleeding, not from its borders, but from within. Commander Jari stood in the heart of her collapsing base. Screens flickered. Sirens wailed softly in the background like distant cries. The walls that once symbolized control now whispered chaos. Above her, holograms of the Empire's remaining sectors showed something terrifying. Defections. Uprisings. Silence. Entire legions had stopped responding. Colonies had gone dark. And some had joined the humans. This wasn't just a jailbreak, her second-in-command, Nira, said. This was a spark. And now the whole Empire is dry wood. Jari didn't answer. She watched a live feed of a rebel banner being raised, not human but alien, a mark of defiance against her own species. The humans hadn't just won. They'd made others want to win too. In the old communication bay, Captain Raynor stood beside a row of broken consoles. Wasn't celebrating, he was planning. His team gathered around, a mix of escaped prisoners, covert agents, and even a few defected alien engineers. They won't fight fair now, said Kai. They'll hit hard, fast, brutal. Let them, Raynor replied. We don't need to match their force. We just need to keep showing the truth. Someone frowned. Truth isn't enough. It's not about what's enough, Raynor said. It's about what hurts them most. He tapped the map. Dozens of red zones blinked across the galactic grid. Their power isn't in soldiers, he continued. It's in silence, in fear, in loyalty built on lies. He pointed to one system, Delta 4. We don't just hit their command next. We hit their belief. Meanwhile, Jari received another encrypted message. Not from her empire, not from her soldiers, from a former ally. The Ilari, a race once allied to the Valkyrie, were withdrawing support. Her hands trembled. The message was short. We do not stand with monsters. Your secrets are no longer hidden. In the corner of her war room, a young officer removed his helmet. His eyes were wet, not from pain but realization. They lied to us, he whispered. They lied about the humans. Jari turned, furious. You speak as if they're heroes. He didn't answer. He just walked out. Somewhere in the outer base, another door opened, and with it, a new kind of resistance. Valkyrie civilians, maintenance workers, cooks, engineers, stood face to face with human rebels. There was a pause. No, weapons raised. One human stepped forward. "We're not here to take your homes," she said. A silence. "We're here because you were lied to, same as us." A young alien stepped from the group holding a datapad. He tossed it down. On it, files, maps, passcodes. "I want to help." It wasn't an army anymore. It was a movement. Jari sat alone now, in what was once her throne of steel. A message played, again and again on a loop, broadcasted by the humans. To all who have felt the boot of silence. To all who were told not to ask questions. You are not alone, and your future is not written. In the hangar bay, Raynor and his team prepared for the next move. Ships were being repaired, reprogrammed, repainted. Flags were being removed. New ones raised. Not of one species, not of one world. A symbol of fire, of resistance, of awakening. Raynor stood at the center, eyes scanning the horizon. Kai walked up beside him. "You think they'll follow us?" "Some will," Raynor said. "Some won't." He turned. "But enough will. And that's all we need." As the sun rose on a broken empire, millions across the stars watched a single message go live. A human, standing before both enemies and allies, saying, "This isn't just our fight anymore. This is about every voice silenced, every world forgotten, every truth buried. You taught us how to endure. Now we'll teach you how we rise. We are not your property. We are not your mistake. We are your consequence." And across systems, across species, across history, the uprising began. Truth revealed. The stars were silent. For the first time in centuries, the Empire's capital, the crown jewel of the Valkyrie system, no longer glowed with pride, but flickered with doubt. Its grand towers still stood tall, but the faith inside them was collapsing. Not with fire, not with weapons, with truth. A dark room, deep inside the archive vaults beneath the capital. Thousands of years of data, recordings, testimonies, classified orders, buried war logs, hidden behind firewalls so advanced, even the Empire's own people couldn't reach them. But today, someone had. Captain Raynor stood in front of a locked vault, fingers covered in dust, sweat on his brow, breath low. Behind him, Engineer Kai worked the terminal. "Almost there," Kai whispered. "Give me 10 more seconds." The hallway behind them echoed with tension. Their mission wasn't just risky, it was suicide. They had broken into the deep archive, a place even high-ranking Valkyrie weren't allowed to see without 10 layers of clearance. Kai finally cracked. The code. The vault hissed open, a slow mechanical whine followed. Behind the door, silence. And then, light. Rows of data cores glowing blue, humming like ghosts. Raynor stepped inside. Back on the command ship above the capital, Commander Jari sat alone in her private chamber. She had received a file from an anonymous source. Message only one sentence. "This is what they never told you." She opened it and watched. Inside the archive, Raynor activated a console. A voice came on. An old one. A Valkyrie general's, years dead. Experiment log 790. Humanity. Status. Failed. Images played. Humans in cages. Drugged. Experimented. On not for war. For control. Raynor's jaw tightened. He kept watching. Project Genesis. Test Group 2. Mental conditioning unsuccessful. Subject 14 attempted rebellion. Result. Total containment failure. Conclusion. Species exhibits high resistance to loyalty restructuring. Next file. Advisory. Species too unpredictable for integration. Recommend misinformation strategy. Portray as violent, unstable, unworthy of sympathy. Raynor turned. To Kai. "They didn't invade us for land," he said. Kai nodded grimly. "They invaded us because they couldn't change us." In her chamber, Jari sat frozen. Video after video. Log after log. Her people had not just fought a war, they had committed atrocities, and then erased them. Or worse, rewrote them. The humans hadn't started the war. They were the result of one. Across the galaxy, Raynor uploaded the files to a satellite relay hidden inside the capital. Every screen flickered. Cities paused. Workers froze. Even warships stopped mid-maneuver. A voice came on. His voice. To the galaxy. The truth you were never allowed to know. We were not your enemies. We were your warnings. We were not born in rebellion. We were made in betrayal. Video after video broadcasted vivisections propaganda training. False flag attacks blamed on humans. It shattered everything. Entire systems rebelled within hours. Military commanders laid down arms. Senators turned against the High Council. Some wept. Others screamed. One alien officer destroyed his own rank insignia and whispered, "I was part of this?" Jari stood in her chamber, still staring at the final file. One she had never seen before. A video. Her, as a young cadet, helping escort prisoners. She had believed they were criminals. She had believed they deserved it. Now she saw. Those prisoners were civilians, families, children. They lied to me, she whispered. No one answered, except her own voice from the old video. You don't need chains, just fear. Keep them afraid and they'll never resist. She dropped the data pad. What have we done? On the streets of the capital, crowds gathered beneath screens. They didn't shout. They didn't fight. They just watched, and slowly, they turned, not toward the Empire's statues, toward each other, and toward the sky, where the human ships now hovered not as conquerors, but as witnesses. Raynor returned to the surface. The city wasn't burning. It was quiet. People looked at him, not with fear, not with hatred, but with understanding. A Valkyrie boy, no older than 10, walked up to him, offered him a broken badge. Raynor took it. My father wore that, the boy said. He said you were monsters. Raynor knelt. So did mine, he said. Turns out, we were both lied to. Jari walked out of the tower, her armor scratched, her pride gone. She approached Raynor slowly. Why didn't you kill us when you had the chance? He looked at her. Because that's what you would have done. A pause. We're not here to replace your empire, he said. Then why? We're here to make sure no one ever builds another one like it. She lowered her head. What now? He looked up at the sky. Now we rebuild, not with walls, not with empires. He turned back to her. With truth. Across the galaxy, people, human and alien, looked at each other with new eyes. And for the first time in centuries, they didn't see enemies. They saw survivors. They saw truth. They saw the beginning of something new. The real warrior. The air was heavy, not with smoke, not with fire, but with choice. On the outskirts of the ruined capital, beneath the shadow of a broken monument, once dedicated to Valkyrie conquest, two warriors stood across from each other, no armies behind them. No weapons in their hands, no more lies between them, just a silent understanding. This was how it must end. Commander Jari had removed her crest, her armor stripped to a basic combat uniform. No more titles, no more command. One fight. She said. Captain Raynor nodded. No weapons, no tricks. She raised her chin. We end it the old way. Not revenge? He asked. Respect, she replied. The circle around them was quiet. A ring of humans, rebels, ex-Valkyrie soldiers, civilians. No one cheered, no one moved, because they all knew. This wasn't a fight for victory. This was a fight for something deeper. For what comes next. They circled slowly. Jari struck first, a clean, sharp blow aimed for his ribs. He blocked, countered with a shoulder strike. They broke. Moved again. This wasn't brawling. It was poetry in pain. Every move filled with memory, every block echoing history. Blood touched both their faces within minutes. Neither backed down. Flashbacks echoed with every strike. Jari, as a young soldier, told humans were dangerous, savage, inhuman. Raynor as a child, watching cities fall. Parents vanished, told aliens were soulless monsters. Now both stood bloodied, breathless, facing not monsters but mirrors. Jari's knee struck his side. Raynor staggered, dropped to one hand but didn't fall. She paused. "Why do you keep getting up?" she asked, panting. He looked up at her. "Because I was taught pain means I'm still alive." He stood. "And if I'm alive, I fight." She nodded once. "Then fight me like one of your legends." "I already am," he said. The last charge came fast. They collided, fists clashing, bodies twisting, landing hard on the stone floor beneath the fallen monument. Jari pinned him, then paused, hands shaking. She could end it. But she didn't. Instead, she whispered, "This was never about who was stronger." "No," he agreed. "It was about who changes first." And in that moment, she let go and stood up. The crowd around them stayed still, unsure what had just happened. But Raynor stood too, and reached out a hand. Jari looked at it, and took it. Cheers didn't erupt. Not yet, because the galaxy had never seen a war end without fire. But this was different. Two warriors, both undefeated, both changed, standing side by side. Not as enemies, not even as allies, but as the first step toward something better. Later, in the city square, Jari stood before her people, not as commander, but as someone willing to be wrong. She raised a single flag, not hers, not Raynor's, a new one, a symbol of resistance, unity, and rebirth. She spoke softly. "We were taught that victory comes from obedience. The humans taught us. It comes from truth. They were never beasts. They were mirrors, and we didn't like what we saw." Raynor walked beside a new council, human, Valkyrie, Alari, and more. He passed the same street he had once crawled through in chains. Now children played there. They didn't run from each other anymore. They ran together. In orbit, the last human fleet pulled away, not in retreat. In return, mission complete. Message delivered. A war had ended. A myth had begun. In a quiet room overlooking the sunrise, Raynor recorded one final message. They thought they had us cornered. They thought our pain would break us. They thought we would surrender. But humans don't surrender. We adapt. We survive. We endure. And when we rise, we don't rise alone. We are not the past. We are the fire that forges what comes next. And when the darkness returns, we'll be ready. He looked out the window one last time and smiled, not because he had won, but because they all had. The end.